There might be many cute animals that melt our hearts as soon as we lay our eyes on them, but despite their cuteness, there are some untamed animals which, no matter what, can't be tamed. What if one of those animals steal away one's heart, and you're left with no choice but to take them in, especially one of those canny and sneaky ones? Lupe was blissfully roaming around her owner, Kathy, name changed, helping her with the daily chores and having the best time of her life. What could be better than a comfortable home and a nice owner, without having the slightest clue what was coming her way? Her owner and Lupe had strong connection. She was trained and used to get along pretty well. With the passage of time, this understanding grew. Kathy used to live alone before Lupe came in her life. Then one day, after a lot of persistence to find a companion, the next day, she went into the pet shop, and as her eyes met this Dachshund puppy, she didn't give another thought before adopting the pup. They are known for their friendly nature, but it is hard to believe that these adorable dogs were basically bred for hunting. But no matter the reason, Lupe changed her life, and she became more amiable. Kids used to come and play with Lupe, and she used to treat them with handmade candies. It was the advent of fall and a sunny day in October when Lupe looked out of the window as she used to do and had a shock of her life. It was not something she had seen coming in the morning. Lupe was obsessing over her new stuffed toy which Kathy had recently gifted her. She used to treat the toy like her own puppy. Her affection towards the toy increased with days. She wouldn't let anyone touch it and slept hugging it. Lupe barely left the toy and would bark insanely if anyone touched it. Kathy had to literally take away the toy to make her eat, in which she rarely succeeded. She was inseparable from the toy. At dusk, Kathy had made Lupe's favorite dinner, so when she got a whiff she ran inside the house. Watching her come before even calling had somewhat astonished her, but then that is what she wanted. In a hurry, Lupe forgot to take her toy inside. But it wasn't really a matter of concern, but it was indeed in the house. But who knew, though in the front porch the toy had new fans too. When dawn broke and Lupe was done helping her owner, she, as usual, sat on the window edge to look out for passers-by. It startled as she jumped over the edge to find out that her much-loved toy wasn't the same anymore. She was surprised to see some strange dog-like animal was playing with her beloved toy. This came as an unanticipated surprise which was difficult for her to digest. Who was that animal, and what was it doing on the front porch? As the animal was having the best time of its life while playing with the stuffed toy, at the same time Lupe was going bananas as she couldn't tolerate the sight and was desperate to jump out of the window to snatch her beloved toy. The animal that was playing with the stuffed toy had shiny brown fur and was short in height. It was cheerful while playing with the toy, like no one was watching, ignoring all the barking. The animal couldn't contain his excitement and was flipping over the toy, playing catches with it on an infinite loop like a kid. As he flipped the toy up, it would dance with joy, and there stood Lupe, who was getting anxious and barking endlessly behind the window. The owner could hear her barking, but she ignored it. She knew Lupe must have found something and would be barking in joy, oblivious to the fact that this time the discovery of Lupe was actually unusual today. What was the animal that had invaded her house and was playing with the toy endlessly, ignoring all the barking? Hearing Lupe's persistent barking now, the Kathy grew suspicious and ran in the room where Lupe was sitting to check if she's safe, unaware of what she will encounter next. As she entered the room, she sighed with relief to find Lupe safe and sound, but then what was Lupe getting angry for? She had never seen her in so much of rage. What made Lupe so angry? Bewildered with the dog's behavior, she had a look at what Lupe was barking for. As Lupe saw her coming in her direction, she started to bark more loudly as if complaining about something serious. Lupe came down the window pane and grabbed her cloth as if she wanted her to see something across the pane and hurried her towards the window. This made the owner eager to see what treasure had the dog found. As she looked out of the window, it amazed her to find what she saw. Without wasting another minute, she ran to take out her camera because she had seen something worth capturing, and she started filming the animal in her garden playing blissfully with the dog's stuffed toy. Lupe had never imagined that her owner would rather film instead of shooing it away. She looked at her owner in despair. Lupe turned her head towards her owner in disbelief while she burst out in laughter as she sensed Lupe's jealousy. So what was this animal that had become their center of attraction? The owner had instantly figured out what stood in front of them, and it amused her. The animal who had taken the Lupe's stuffed toy and also his sleep was a baby fox. Oblivious to the world, this little being was having the best time of his life with the toy. Meanwhile, the owner was recording all his mischief and was laughing her heart out. This made Lupe more furious, as if the fox it wasn't enough that he had his favorite toy in his mouth, that he was deforming it by throwing it up and down and his owner filming the same. The video ended when the cute fox threw up the toy for the last time, and there beside the window Lupe finally sighed with relief that at last her bark didn't go in vain. Our poor Dachshund. The video that the owner had made just for fun and to capture these incredible moments went insanely viral, and 6 million people watched it and shared insanely over the internet. Despite unavoidable cuteness of the fox, one question was inescapable: that how this little fox came in here. Was he tamed or was he on loose? In either way, he was in danger. They rescued the cub from the evil clutches of Fur Farm. Because of his friendliness, the saviors took him with them, and despite the cunning behavior of the foxes, we know them for he was one of the friendliest foxes they had ever met. Fur farms are basically a practice in which they breed the animals just for their fur. With 5,000 fur farms in the European Union spread across 22 countries, European farmers produce most of the world's farmed fur. 22 countries of the European Union accounts for producing 50% of the global production, wherein 70% is fox production. Finland is the largest United States supplier of fox pelts. The other major producers are China, the Netherlands, Russia, and the US. Despite huge production in some countries, it is banned in the others. Austria, Croatia, the United Kingdom, the Czech Republic along with Norway had banned this practice. There are certain countries such as Germany and Switzerland in which fur farming is strictly prohibited, and hence there are no farms. One of the leading fur industries fell once in between the 1980s and 1990s because designers failed in coming up with the new line, but the major reason this industry fell flat on its face was because of animal rights campaigns. The organization related to the rights of animals brought Super Fox into the light. Super foxes were unusually large and rapidly growing, which was just bred for their fur. Due to this, the foxes had to undergo a lot of medical issues, which included deformities in their limbs and other health problems, and these have worsened with time. According to reports published in 2014, up to 86% of foxes were suffering from bent feet. To meet the demand and gain higher profits, they made them grow to enormous sizes so their pelts will be bigger and could fetch them more money, which adversely affects their health. As these foxes are just bred for producing the fur, hence they are kept in pathetic living conditions like wire cages until their last breath. These cages are extremely small, as they just have a foot distance to move in it. The cages that they are put in are filthy and dark, making them frustrated. Not just dingy, but their cages are dirty and accumulated with their own urine and stool, because of which they could catch several diseases, and on top of that they are not even provided with protection against the chilling cold. The quality of food that is provided in such fur farms is such that it won't be fit for humans to eat. The water is too provided to them by the nipple system, which gets frozen in winters, and the caretakers give the least thought about the same. Though some countries have completely banned fur farms and take serious actions about the same, while the other countries in which it is prevalent have no certain laws. The story doesn't end here. In some fur farms, the animals are poisoned with chemicals like strychnine, which are injected into their veins or by neck breaking. These are certain spin-chilling methods by which these poor animals are slaughtered. A secret camera was put in the fur farm to show the world the cruelty happening to the poor beings. The footage that came forth shook the world and the organizations that are related to protecting these animals, which otherwise would be hidden from the world. In a world where these poor beings are slaughtered with sheer inhumanity, there are still people who rescued this baby fox from one of those evil fur farms, and the rescuers named this friendly baby fox Isla. This cute little baby fox has just an adorable way of showing love. Can you guess how? This cub, rather than placing kisses on the hands of its savior, nibbled their fingers. Alia not just finds people amusing but also likes to befriend them all. And not just humans but dogs too. Lupe and Alia are now the best friends forever. And not just buddies, they are partners in crime too, goofing around each other and amusing others with their mischief. Lupe, who would let no one go near her favorite stuffed toy, readily lets Alia play with it. Now, as both of them are growing and are being trained, they are learning new games too, and guess what's their all-time favorite game? No doubt it's hide and seek. Nevertheless, they have a difference in size. Lupe could easily make Alia run, but she never does that. Instead, she takes care of Alia more like her own pup than a friend. Now Alia is safe and sound and has found a cozy home. She can grow in her natural environment and have a peaceful life ahead. The horror that Alia had faced in fur farms may not be wiped out from her mind ever, but her saviors have made sure that she wouldn't face any such horror again and let her roam around with no chains restricting her movements in the cage. The saviors of Alia were trying to rescue these poor animals from these ruthless people, and many more have come forward to join them as well. But is it sufficient? Though there are many activist rescue groups to save these animals, including the saviors of Alia, this whole network is widespread around the globe, and if every person doesn't contribute in this mission, then people will continue to make blind money out of this inhuman act.